Afternoon, VC, Aris here. Hope everyone's well. I thought today I'd look at a few of my favourite sort of funk, soul, disco albums of the 70s. I think if you're a vinyl collector, we're just getting into vinyl and you're into that sort of thing, it's a good area to hit because a lot of these albums I'm showing you can still pick up for £3 or £4, and all of them, they're absolute gold dust, these albums. Absolutely superb. Um, Starting off with The Mother Lode, James Brown's In the Jungle Groove. This is a compilation of his best sort of funk moments from, I think, from about 69 to 74. This is the absolute mother lode. You don't really need a much more James Brown than this, in my opinion, although I'm a big James Brown fan, but this has got a lot. Funky drummer, give it up, turn it loose, talking loud, saying nothing, get up, get into it, get involved, soul power. Me and my mate back in '92, we bought a camper van, Volkswagen camper van, and we toured Europe for 28 days. And we realised when we got to France that we only had one cassette in the car, which was James Brown's album Hot Pants. And we spent the next 28 days just continuously listening to Hot Pants. I don't know if you've ever been in a broken down camper van in Luxembourg City with the rain falling sideways, listening to James Brown's Hot Pants for the 139th time, but I don't really recommend that. And this compilation does contain the song Hot Pants. Thankfully, it's the last song on the album, so I can sort of flip it, because I never want to hear Hot Pants by James Brown ever again. But this is the absolute nuts. You need this album in your life. Next up, what can you say about this? Parliament's Funka Telekey versus the Placido Syndrome. This was absolutely ripped to pieces by every G-Funk hip-hop act, Dr. Dre, you name it, all of them. Any hip-hop record between about 89 to 95 plundered the heck out of this album, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's just cartoon funk of the highest quality. This is a nice copy because it comes with the usual nonsense, a comic book, a huge poster that I really don't really need either, but it's nice to have them. And also I'd recommend this, the one that came after, even better, Motor Booty Affair by Parliament. I mean, this is just, again, superb. I was never I found a lot of the sort of the P-Funk always sounded better in theory than it did when you bought the record. It can be a dicey area to go down because a lot of it can go into huge guitar solos and sort of funk meandering, but these two albums are just fantastic. What I would call sort of cartoon funk, just noises and sound effects flipping in and out, absolute nonsense lyrics, just absolutely brilliant. Love it. Next up, don't sleep on this record. Again, this is one you can get for peanuts. Casey and the Sunshine Band's second album, eponymous album, and this is absolute gold dust. Every song on here is mental. It's like a greatest hits, and the band at this point, mid-70s, were as tight as any funk band going. I mean, this has got Let It Go, That's the Way, Get Down Tonight, Boogie Shoes, Ain't Nothing Wrong, I'm So Crazy, I Get Lifted, Let It Go. I mean, it's like a greatest hits, but it's their second album, and it's just pure gold dust. Sounds amazing. Casey and the Sunshine Band's second album. You can get it for about £4 or £5, and it's an absolute monster. Next up, you can't go wrong with any of these lads' 70s albums, but Ship Ahoy by the OJs. Absolutely fantastic. Got the incredible track Ship Ahoy, which sort of alludes to sort of the slave trade. It's one of their more political moments. And then it's got Donald Trump's theme that he used on his TV program For the Love of Money, which has got to have one of the greatest intros ever. It's got Now That We Found Love, which is beautiful, but again, like all these albums, it's pretty much all killer. And the great thing about these albums, they tended to be pretty short, about 28-30 minutes. So A, they sound amazing, and B, there's no filler, or very little filler on them. Absolutely fantastic. Ship Ahoy by the OJs. Fantastic album. Next up, Sly and the Family Stone's Fresh. Just brilliant, including the fantastic, and I think their greatest ever tune, If You Want Me to Stay, which the Red Hot Chili Peppers covered on their second album. And they covered it to quite good effect, actually. So it was pretty decent. Yeah, my favourite Sly Stone album. I'm not a massive fan of the album that came before this, There's a Riot Going On. This kind of sounds exactly how I wanted There's a Riot Going On to sound. It's just brilliant. It's more compact. It doesn't meander. Again, most of these albums, they've got great gatefolds as well. But absolutely superb. Sly and the Family Stone's Fresh. Really recommend this if you can pick it up. Next up, this is a belter. One for the dads, so the sleeves. Got a slightly, it's the Ohio Players Honey. Slightly dodgy inner sleeve there. It's annoying, isn't it? You come down in the morning, you've got the toast ready, you want the honey, and then someone is in your lounge and they've covered themselves in your favourite preserve. There's no more honey to have. It's so annoying, and this is an example of it. This is the culprit right here. But again, this contains another Red Hot Chili Peppers tune, which I think they covered, which is Love Roller Coaster. Which, again, they did a really good job at. I don't want to come out, I'm not coming out of the closet here as a Red Hot Chili Peppers fan, believe me. But yeah, they did a great version of Love Roller Coaster, which I think was on the Beavis and Butthead movie soundtrack. And the B-side was the fantastic Lesbian Seagull as well, which is well worth finding. But Ohio Players Honey, fantastic sleeve, fantastic record. Next up, and if you're talking about fantastic, fairly cheap funk soul records, you cannot go wrong with any of the Isley Brothers' 70s output. All of their albums up to about 79 are absolute fire. This is 3+3, which may be my best, but to be honest, the 3 or 4 that come before and after this are amazing. I can't say enough about this, and again contains the amazing That Lady, which is one of the great singles of all time. Just amazing stuff. And Ernie Isley, the guitar player, I think he's up there as one of the greatest underrated guitar players of all time. But yeah, any of the Isley Brothers 70s albums are amazing, and I say that again, they're all like £4, £5, £6, and you can't go wrong. And again, you're guaranteed a magnificent inner sleeve. Turned up some sort of fancy dress do there by the looks of it, but yeah, absolutely awesome. A little bit of a later one, you got Prince here. His eponymous album, was this his second album? Came out in 79. Superb. Contains maybe his greatest ever song, Contentious. I Want to Be Your Lover. Is that his greatest ever tune? I'm going to say it might be. Not sure what's going on the front cover there. He's having an off day, which is unfortunate, as it was the day he chose to be photographed with the sleeve. But yeah, what an album this is. Fantastic. Al Green, Explores Your Mind. This might be my favourite Al Green record. It doesn't contain the high points of some of his previous ones, like Call Me, or Let's Get Together, or Let's Stay Together. But consistency wise, this is the absolute belter from Al Green, and comes with his catchiest song of all time, which is Shalala Make Me Happy, which is an absolute dream of a tune. The album that came after this, or maybe after, I think it came after this, is called Belle, which is also an amazing record. But yeah, Al Green, Explores Your Mind, absolutely superb. Next up, another super cheap record that if this was a Marvin Gaye record or a Stevie Wonder record, people would be calling it like a symphonic soul masterpiece of all time. You can pick this up for £1.99 in any charity shop in the UK. Barry White, Stone Gone, absolute killer album. This is just all killer, no thinner. Honey Please, You're My Baby, Never Gonna Give You Up. I mean, it only contains 5 songs, and it's just genius. It's just symphonic soul masterclass. Production is absolutely on point. It sounds amazing. Terrible sleeve. Barry there, he's playing the piano in an Icelandic landscape, which I don't know how that got past marketing, but it did. It's a brilliant record. It's as cheap as chips, and yeah, I recommend Barry Whitestone Gone. It's superb. Along the same lines, if super cheap records that are just amazing. Heatwave's Too Hot to Handle. One of the few records that I own 2 copies of. Absolutely love it. Superbly underrated band. They got the amazing Rod Temperton, who basically was a bloke from, I think, Grimsby in England, who looked like a broker who worked for Mercantile Credit. I mean, the uncoolest guy in the world, coming from probably one of the most uncool places in England. Apologies to anyone from Grimsby if you're watching. And he writes some of the great songs in it. I mean, the killer on here that everyone knows is Boogie Nights, but it's got Ain't No Half Stepping on there, Always and Forever, which is like one of those blue light classics that you used to end the evening trying to get a smooch on with your missus or prospective girlfriend. Rod Temperton also wrote, I think, 2 or 3 of the songs on Thriller and Off the Wall, both by Michael Jackson. He passed away sadly, I think 2 years ago. He's an absolute songwriting genius, Rod Temperton. Yeah, but Heatwave, Too Hot to Handle, and I think the album that came after this as well is absolutely superb. But such an underrated band, Heatwave, superb. Next up, on a slightly more mellow tip, Smokey Robinson, Quiet Storm. Again, a bit underrated. Again, a bit like, you know, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder. They get all the props for the 70s, but Smokey Robinson's albums in the 70s are pretty good. I mean, really decent. And yeah, this is a pretty mellow one. Side 1 is fantastic. Quiet Storm, which kind of invents trip hop, really, that sort of slow soul sound. Then it's got it's The Agony and the Ecstasy, Baby Straight Back at Ya, and The Wedding Song, all magic. Falls off dramatically on side 2. I can't even listen to side 2 on this, but side 1 is superb, and it's an amazing album. And again, you know, it's a £5, £6 album, absolutely superb. And last up here, Earth, Wind and Fire, All in All, an absolute superb album. The playing on this is up there with anyone from like James Brown's band. It's just superb. The production's amazing. Again, you've got the big inner sleeve. Just superb, absolutely superb album. As I said, if you're into your 70s funk or soul or disco, you don't need to go for the obscure stuff, which you can fall into that trap easily when you start buying records. But most of this stuff is just so cheap and so amazing. I mean, I've listened to all these records so often, and I love them. It's just a great way of getting into vinyl and not having to spend a fortune. And I've got hundreds of records like this, and they're all just brilliant. And yeah, so thanks for watching, and there'll be more videos to come. Cheers.